Hi, Taylor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, Brittany. Pretty well, all things considered. How about you?
I'm good. So, just before we start a session today, I do need to go over a consent form that you signed just to make sure you're aware of the confidentiality boundaries we have for this uh, distance session we have with, our training. Um, so, you, Taylor Shirtler, understand and agree to each of the following statements. Consent to video audio recordings being made of mock counseling sessions and to these recordings being used to aid in the growth of counseling knowledge and skills.
I agree to that.
Consent to the excerpts from these recordings or descriptions of them being used by the Grand Canyon University faculty and staff for the purposes of supervision, research, and/or teaching.
I agree to that.
Understand that any part of a conversation that is recorded and or written down will be kept confidential.
I agree.
Will not disclose any information that may identify in the mock counseling session recordings. The information given will be fictional and you will use an alias.
I agree.
Understand that Zoom will be used to record counseling sessions and that Zoom meetings both HIPAA and FERPA confidentiality standards.
I agree.
Understand if the recordings of the mock counseling sessions activates any suicidal ideation or potentially harmful thoughts, and you will reach out to a professional in my area immediately. Neither GCU, the college, or myself will be held accountable if you harm yourself.
I agree.
All right, so now that is out of the way, what brings you here today?
Well, I've got a little bit of a conundrum with my work right now. Um,
Okay.
I, I recently started a new job and I really like it. I've had a couple here and there jobs in the past, and honestly, each and every one of them was just for a paycheck. But
Hmm.
I really like the way that I fit in here. I have a sense of purpose in the work that I do, and it's my first job where I consider it part of my career. I really want to be here, and I want to move up the ladder at this company. I love the opportunity for advancement that it offers, although I am in a bit of a rut because I feel like my immediate manager is really preventing me from showing the extent of my skill set. Anytime I've ever tried to take on a little bit more responsibility as either a project manager or just general managerial oversight, she comes down on me hard and says how that's not my job, it's not my responsibility, and I shouldn't be doing that, even though it's the direction that I want my career path to go. My
Hmm.
manager and I have butted heads a lot. We don't really get along too well, and we don't work together terribly well. And I really don't know what to do about it, because I like my job, but my manager makes it quite difficult to be there at times.
That's understandable. First off, I do want to say I love that you found a place where you feel like yourself and that you can grow into. With your manager, have you sat down and talked to her and maybe discussed how you're not trying to take over her jobs or more than you're supposed to do outside of your description, but more you just want to be helpful and just be able to find growth within the company with, just having that conversation. Have you maybe tried that?
Not directly, no. Yeah, the main interactions we have are whenever I would see some kind of issue that needs to be addressed, and I'll kind of step up, take that responsibility myself, and then she and I butt heads in that instance. But
Mhm.
apart from that, we haven't really discussed these happenings at work. No.
How is she with handling these issues? Is it usually she notices or that you just take charge in order to show your potential and your skill set?
Hmm. Well, I'm not sure if she does notice these issues or not, but I have a very type A personality. I would rather ask for forgiveness than permission. So if I
Mhm.
see a problem or an issue or some way to make our work better, I'm going to jump on it myself.
Okay. I can understand that, and I do applaud you for taking the initiative because sometimes that's hard for others to do. They're more the opposite. They just want to ask permission to make sure they have the opportunity to grow versus just, I'm going to show you what I can do and show so I can show you how far I can go and how I can grow. Um, have you thought about it from your manager's mindset maybe? Like if you put yourself in her shoes and roles were reversed, how do you think she would feel if we just visualize that? If you were the manager and she was underneath you, how do you think you would feel if someone, even after a year, is so new, was kind of easing into your position a little bit, into your job opportunities? How do you think you would feel about that?
I would feel probably that someone was encroaching on what my responsibilities were, probably feel a little attacked almost, although that does seem a little bit more aggressive than I intend to, but I can't imagine it would feel too good.
Yeah, and I am not saying that what you are doing is wrong. I'm not saying what she is doing is wrong. Maybe you're just two different types of personalities and you both just see things from different mindsets. Um, so I would recommend maybe talking to her and just letting her know that you have these skill sets that you would like to utilize and you would like to maybe collaborate with her, ease some of the jobs and stress off her plate if possible, just to show her that you're not trying to misplace her, just you're trying to help her. Um, I know with work it is hard because some places, everyone wants to show how far they can go and that they can be a leader, but sometimes it's more about working together as a collaboration and a community. So that way there is less headbutting, like you said. Um, how does it feel for you though when she does react to when you do take charge?
It kind of feels that my my ambition, my go-getter mindset about the workplace is kind of being squashed and punished. That whenever I try and go above and beyond, I'm met with nothing but pushback from those above me.
Mhm.
That is kind of how what it feels like whenever I'm in one of these situations.
And you wanna feel validated that you can take charge when needed, correct?
Yes, that my skill set can be applied in this work setting, the
Mhm,
skill set that I have from my previous work experiences, and that I can really kind of come into my own with where I feel like I could really fit in with this company, the position I could have that would best fit what I feel that I have to offer.
mhm. Yep, that is completely understandable, and I love that you have that ambition and passion for growing into your new company. Um, Besides possibly sitting down and talking to each other, what do you think you could do to maybe ease the tension, seeing as with that scenario we played out, you can kind of see the feelings and thought processes of both sides as the manager and as yourself.
Hmm. Well, I think one thing that I'm gonna try, although it is against my type A personality, if I come across another issue that I know would have to be addressed or a level of top down oversight that is needed in this kind of work, instead of just jumping into it with no breaks, let her know what's going on. Maybe she
Mhm,
doesn't have as many eyes in these processes as I think, and I should probably let her know what the issue is, and then maybe begin a conversation from there. If she wants me to take care of it, or if she thinks that it should be something that she herself should deal with as my manager. I suppose that could help alleviate a lot of the tension that you've described today.
That does sound like a really good situation that you have planned out. Um, I would also suggest, because as you said, your type A personality is asking forgiveness versus permission. I really like how you may not be asking for permission, but you will be letting her know. So that's like a step into building a potential collaboration. So not only are you following your ambition and taking charge, but you're also letting your manager know, so that way she does feel in the loop versus possibly feeling pushed aside, or that you are trying to, just do this, this, and this without her permission. Do you understand where I'm following?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. Try and find the balance between
Mhm.
making sure that I feel accomplished and satisfied in my work environment, but that she doesn't feel that she is being encroached on in her existing position.
Mhm.
I think I
Because
can. Oops,
with
sorry to
work,
interrupt.
it's okay. With work, it's all about balance, and we ourselves, we're all human. So, like, we all do make mistakes. We learn from them. And I feel one thing everyone can do in order to just have a peaceful and calm existence is just to have that communication and that transparency. It may be a long, bumpy road at times, depending on who the two people are, especially if, like you said, you butt heads sometimes, but eventually both parties will see that you're willing to work together and you want to help each other succeed and grow, and you're not trying to put anyone down or encroach upon them. Um, so I would say that would be your best outlet. um, what are some short-term goals and long-term goals you have for not just the situation, but your place of work in general?
Well, one of my short-term goals, I guess, would be to alleviate a lot of the tension that is happening between coworkers that I see and between myself and other people that I work with, my manager being one of the people that I mentioned. There are a lot of other happenings in my work environment that we don't have time to discuss in just this short setting, but approaching each and every one of those situations and relationships with kind of the same mindset to try and help alleviate that. My long term goal would be to get into a position where I feel that I can really kind of push on the gas a little bit, where I can really utilize the extent of my skill set and experience and not feel that I am in a position that where I feel that I'm limited, but also not
Mhm.
overwhelmed. Don't want to climb too high too quickly. So finding that balance with the position that I can have where my skill set can best be applied. That would be my long-term goal.
And those are some amazing goals that you have for yourself. I do agree the short-term goal would be to alleviate the tension with your manager, because you do have to keep in mind, as she is your manager, she will be the one to help you achieve that long-term goal. So we do, even though not everyone always gets along, which is just the reality of everything, but just we don't want to burn any bridges. We just want to keep that civ- civility, and just have everyone on the same page pretty much, so she knows you're not trying to push her out. You just want to grow, and maybe after you alleviate the attention, who knows, maybe she can help you rise up into your company. You really never know until we get there, which is what we're going to use these sessions for, is to meet those goals. I do have one more question for you before we wrap up. Because you mentioned there is a lot going on at your company, and I can hear the stress of just this situation for you. What do you do to take care of yourself when you're not at work, to make sure Taylor is taken care of up here? So to relieve the stress and not take it with you.
Hmm. Well, there is a place I like to go. There's a lake very near to me. Just a small lake, beautiful scenery, some walking paths around, and there's a particular spot on the south side of the lake that I like to go and sit and just watch the waves gently lap in, feel the sunshine on my face. It kind of allows me to clear away all of the mental clutter from the day, just to
Mm-hmm.
put a term on it. And it allows me to kind of take a breath and reset. So
Okay.
that's what I like to do to decompress after particularly stressful days.
Well, I'm glad that you have a coping mechanisms because if you did not, I wanted to add that to our future sessions to find those coping mechanisms and skills for you because stress, especially now with everything going on in the world, is taking a big toll on everyone. And my job is to be sure that no matter what is going on, you are taking care of yourself mentally and physically as well, so that you are still happy with yourself and you are just you can breathe.
Well, thank you for making that offer. I'm really glad that you're looking out for me and trying to help me find coping mechanisms and the best way to go about handling my mental state that I get from some of these stressful situations at work.
Of course. So I'm going to pause this session and summarize what we talked about and then talk a little bit what maybe you want to talk about next week or ideas I have for you for next week. So we've talked about the tension you've had at your workplace while you feel it's a really good fit for you and that you can see yourself growing, you're having some tensions and stress with your manager. But we did talk about some ways you could alleviate the tension. And we also did a scenario where you could see both sides of how you feel and what you're seeing and from your perspective with the situations. But then you flipped it and went into her shoes to see how she may be perceiving the situations, which I think is a really good way. So we can make sure that no one does feel misplaced and we want everyone to feel validated. Um, we do have a plan for you to alleviate the tension, right? You said you wanted to maybe have a conversation with her, is that correct?
Yes, to first bring problems or issues in the workplace to her attention before charging into them full steam ahead.
So that way we have that balance of you're not overstepping, but she does feel in the loop. Um, so I would say for our next session, I do want to talk about some other possible scenarios we could help with the stress at the workplace. As you mentioned, there is more than just this one situation, but this
Mhm.
seems to be the one that is affecting you the most. Is there anything else you would like to add before we finish our session, Taylor?
Well, just thanking you for helping me offer guidance on this. I hadn't really considered perspectives beyond, my own in the workplace with how everyone functions. So really just giving you my thanks with guidance in the situation.
Of course. Well, if that is the end of our session, I will wrap this up and I will talk to you next week.
All right, I'll see you next week, Brittany.
All right. Thank you, Taylor.